Mediterranean is at the heart of the olive root. 3 continents surround it. Our journeys to discover both the ancient and modern secrets of the olive tree and its cultures takes us across and around this mythical sea. This is the factory of Johnny Handal. Johnny is a 57-year-old Palestinian Christian, born and bred in the centre of Bethlehem. He has a team of 3 working with him, all Muslims. The men work by hand or with basic machinery, fabricating olive wood crosses and rosaries for tourists. 59 beads for each rosary.
It was Franciscan monks that brought the art of working with olive wood to this country. They taught the people of Bethlehem how to work with wood and how to work with mother of pearl. And we passed it on from father to son, right up until today. Of course, this wood comes from a sacred tree, one that's found all over Palestine. It goes back to the time of the Romans. So the craft is carried on until now. Pilgrims come from all over the world, and they really like it.
These tourists are carrying a simulacrum of Christ's cross. They're making the stations of the cross along Via Dolorosa, the Street of Sorrow, situated in the Arab Quarter. During the 1967 Six-Day War, both the Old City and East Jerusalem were taken by Israelis. Today, Israel effectively controls all Jerusalem, old and new, and has declared it capital of Israel. Bethlehem is 6 miles south of Jerusalem. Since 2003, it has been cut off from the capital by the 8-meter barrier. West Bank residents need a permit to clear its checkpoints.
To get to Jerusalem, it is very humiliating. Me, I love Jerusalem. At one time, we would go there 2 or 3 times a week. But after the wall was put up and the security situation got worse, we decided it was better not to go there. Now it's easier to go abroad than to go to Jerusalem.
Olive wood, a semi-precious commodity in the past, has become relatively cheap over the last years due to the vast number of trees that have been uprooted by the Israelis to build the barrier. Johnny carves with 2 varieties, one darker and the other a lighter wood. Between the months of late November and early March, after the olive fruits have been harvested, the farmers prune their groves. Aside from the wood taken from illegally destroyed trees, the farmers are Johnny's suppliers. He pays up to $500 a ton for the wood. It is expensive, but when the tourists are buying, he can just about make ends meet.
The live wood we use comes mostly from the north of Palestine, from Galilee, from Tulkarm, Nablus, and also from Ramallah. The best sort is what we call Roman, which can come from the trees hundreds of years old. When the branches are strong enough, they prune them and strip the bark. Then they bring some of the best wood to us and to the workshops.
Johnny is visiting the Bethlehem Casting Company, a factory owned by his brother-in-law, Hani. Here, the metal parts for the crosses and rosary beads are made. There are next to no artisans in Palestine who are casting such figures. Johnny would need to buy from abroad, but Hani's are of the finest. Today, Johnny needs 302 Jesus figures to complete his order.
Costs in China are almost 30% lower than ours, but the quality of their products is also much lower.
There are numerous artisans like Johnny working in Bethlehem. Each has his own specialities. Johnny, who trained as a teacher, is following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather, although they worked in mother of pearl, which is no longer available or too expensive. Olive wood works well for him, and the tourists want to buy it. The older the tree, the darker the grains on the wood. The cuts of wood are usually stored for a year before they are used. The aging brings out the individual grain patterns. Every piece that is sold bears the label, "Made in the Holy Land," and Johnny's workshop supplies outlets that sell worldwide. Still, the greater part of his business is in Bethlehem, and it remains a challenge. The city has far more hotels now, but the foreigners are spending less, and due to the political uncertainty in the region, fewer tourists visit Bethlehem. They believe they are safer in Jerusalem. They can buy souvenirs in the streets of the old city. They don't know that the Josephs of today, the artisans of olive wood from Bethlehem, cannot access the capital to sell their products themselves. Jerusalem welcomes 3.5 million tourists annually. Less than half of them will travel on to Bethlehem.
At the moment, I'm selling my work in Bethlehem and also in Jerusalem, but it's not me that takes it to Jerusalem because I can't go there.
It is more than 2,000 years since a Palestinian Jew named Joseph walked into Bethlehem, the city of David, king of the Jews, alongside his pregnant spouse who was riding a donkey. They were weary, in need of a bed, a safe place where she, Mary, could give birth to her child. Joseph was a carpenter. The Christian artisans of Bethlehem of today like to think of Joseph as the father of their trade. Through their artifacts, they offer to the world a tiny reminder of Christ's story. But life is a struggle for them, and unemployment in Bethlehem is currently at 65%. Its tourism has dropped by 90% since the millennium.